David Wilcock, and I've been working for over 20 years on disclosure. My goal is to bring out the fullness of the truth of the knowledge that has been suppressed from us. I have spoken to dozens of insiders who have worked in highly classified so-called government programs run through the military-industrial complex who have had first-hand contact with extraterrestrials. The scope of the cover-up is so vast that what we think we know about UFOs and this whole subject constitutes but a very small portion of the actual activity that is taking place in and around our Earth and our solar system right now. Ultimately, I believe that disclosure is a process that does not happen in one sudden thundering moment. It's an ongoing event. Now, the conventional view that you hear about disclosure is that this is going to be where the President of the United States gets on national television and tells us the truth. That's very likely to be one of the last, if not the last stage of the process. And there will be many intervals before that, which we are already seeing. Inside these classified government programs, they are doing something called PRI, or Processed Release of Information, which is a deliberate effort that has been ongoing since the Roswell crash in the 1940s to plant these seeds of truth into the mass consciousness. What's happening is that alleged science fiction since the late 1940s has been embedding the truth in these storylines so that once we finally do get disclosure, we discover that we have been getting disclosure all along. So disclosure is an ongoing process, and it is very interesting to note how many movies are actually written in which the idea that UFOs are not real is treated like a joke. Everyone in the movie laughs at people who don't believe, and extraterrestrials being real are used in many, many storylines for a variety of movies. Extraterrestrials being a fact of reality is presented in a wide number of movies. I remember watching the remake of Godzilla, and extraterrestrials had a lot to do with the remake of Godzilla. Most of the Transformers movies have had very shocking amounts of truthful information in them. And there was an X-Files series reboot in which the whole first premiere episode is absolutely loaded with all kinds of stunning information. The X-Files series reboot in its pilot episode that just aired in January 2016 had an incredible body of disclosure, everything from aerosol, chemtrail type spraying to Federal Reserve, financial collapse, extraterrestrial reality, abduction. It was just unbelievable, and we're seeing more and more of these kinds of things coming out now. So the effort for disclosure is a very interesting, almost schizophrenia in our society, in which if even one person who's had a sighting is actually witnessing some sort of extraterrestrially piloted craft, then you have to assume now that there is much more going on than just that one little peak. And that means that there could be a much greater amount of information to know than even what most of mainstream ufology has collected. You have to remember, the data that we have in the UFO field, such as about Area 51, this might be only one or two whistleblowers that come forward with stuff like this. People photograph it from a high mountaintop far away. We can't get in there. We can't see inside the facility. We don't really know what they're doing. But what's happening is that there are more and more insiders who have come forward, and they have independently spoken to me off the record. I've cataloged what they have to say, and I have memorized and in many cases notated vast bodies of information without putting it online. And the reason why is that when someone new comes along and they start saying all the same things or many of the same things, that's when I know that they are all speaking based on a common body of knowledge. And the scope and the complexity of these correlations between different data sets from different insiders is so vast that I don't believe it is possible for this to be a cover-up. The Occam's razor argument, slicing through to the simplest possible explanation, is that this stuff is actually happening, that our government is in direct contact with a variety of human-looking extraterrestrials, that they have already gotten joint bases both on Earth, inside the Earth, and on moons, and in some cases solid planets in our solar system. There is a very widespread amount of technology out there, including stuff that our own military-industrial complex has built. They have their own deep space ships, some of which are 2.5 kilometers long, cigar-shaped. This stuff, in fact, we have a whistleblower now, William Tompkins, who actually came forward as his aerospace engineer background gave him the blueprints that he designed these ships from. He's presenting us with those blueprints, showing us these cigar-shaped craft, which are identical to the ones that Corey Goode has referred to as having worked in when he was in the Solar Warden program. And William Tompkins independently gave the code name Solar Warden for the program. Then we also have Gary McKinnon, the UFO hacker, who independently finds the name Solar Warden when he's hacking the Pentagon through looking for UFO documentation. So this Solar Warden code name was also embedded within a list of non-terrestrial officers, people who are of military rank and designation but do not work on Earth. Now, you start to put the pieces together, you start to see what everybody's saying, and this is the disclosure process. We are doing this right now. This process is not going to happen by the official level until it has been wrenched out of their hands. It is the last thing they ever want to do, is to completely tell us the truth. What we're going to find out is that not only have we been lied to about the scope of financial tyranny in our world, we have been lied to about extraterrestrials, because that technology that has already been taken in by our government includes free energy. It includes solutions to every problem that we have here on Earth. We can desalinate ocean water with very low energy yield. We can then pump that water into the deserts and literally irrigate all of the dead areas of our planet. We can completely clean up the Pacific garbage gyres, these gigantic areas of plastic that are just circling around and getting eaten by seagulls and whales and all types of marine life. We can eliminate any need for fossil fuel. We eliminate greenhouse gas emissions. There are technologies already in possession of these secret space program groups that eliminate any need for pharmaceuticals. All other types of medical illnesses can be treated by advanced technology that is already in possession of these people. They have the technology to dramatically enhance and extend our lifespan. They have the technology to allow us to travel through portals, to be able to go from point A to point B, even across vast numbers of light years, nearly instantaneously. We literally have all the tools in front of us right now for a Star Trek era. The only reason why we don't have it is that our planet, unfortunately, is being run by a sociopathic cabal of people who actually believe that humans are bad for the environment and they need to dramatically reduce population first before they release these technologies. Their goal was to bring us down to our knees so that we were so desperate for help that by the time they give it to us, they can instill total control and have absolute dominion over everyone. That's not going to be allowed to happen. There is an alliance here on Earth of very powerful entities. This actually includes a majority of the U.S. defense establishment, and I'm also talking about organizations that most people think of as negative, like the CIA. There are very strong, positive groups within all of these different intelligence agencies, the NSA, the DIA, naval intelligence, you name it. And what their goal is, to work with this international alliance of countries that are outside the Western system directly and have seen that, in fact, we are being ruled by a Ponzi scheme in which they just print money out of thin air, do as much as they want.
Mystic Broadcast Network. Tune in to the Mystic Broadcast of oneness emanating from every point in the universe.